In 1945, the United States stood as the victor of the Second World War with unmatched industrial capacity and military force. But across a ruined Europe, the Soviet Union was rapidly expanding, tightening its grip on half the continent. At the time, Washington knew almost nothing about what Moscow was planning. President Harry Truman initially shut down America's wartime intelligence networks, believing the job was finished. He soon realized that navigating this new balance of power required something America had never possessed: a permanent, peacetime spy agency. In 1947, he signed the CIA into existence. Building a global network of agents requires massive amounts of cash, but asking Congress for those funds openly would invite unwanted questions, so the founders found a loophole. As the U.S. poured $13 billion into rebuilding Europe through the Marshall Plan, a secret arrangement diverted 5% of those funds directly to the new agency. That initial $685 million created the CIA's first black budget. This untraceable war chest gave the agency the power to act across the globe, with a level of financial autonomy that bypassed traditional civilian auditors. Having a massive budget did not guarantee effective espionage. In the late 1940s, the Soviet KGB was the gold standard of the trade, with entrenched networks and ruthless discipline. Next to them, the early CIA was an amateur outfit, consistently outmaneuvered in the shadows. The depth of their failure was exposed during a mission to drop CIA-trained Ukrainian agents into Soviet territory. The operation was doomed before the plane left the runway. A key handler was secretly feeding every detail to the KGB, and within days, the entire team was killed or captured. An internal report described the agency as fatally penetrated. After these humiliations, the CIA began to pivot. They moved away from trying to beat the KGB at traditional human espionage, and instead leaned into the distinct advantages the United States held: engineering, hardware, and raw capital. If planting deep cover spies was too slow and vulnerable, the agency found a more direct way to project power. They used their black budget to buy political outcomes, destabilizing foreign governments by funding the right people at the right time. In 1953, Iran's Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh nationalized the country's oil industry, stripping Britain of its control. The CIA sent in a single officer with over $1 million in covert funds to bribe parliamentarians and pay newspaper editors to print smears. Within weeks, Mossadegh was captured, and the oil fields were returned to Western influence. The agency applied this same model in 1973 to topple Salvador Allende in Chile. After Allende promised socialist reforms, the CIA poured millions into opposition media and strikes to paralyze the economy. By September, military tanks rolled into Santiago, and the government was replaced by a military dictatorship. These operations proved the agency could achieve its goals without traditional spying. By leveraging shadow accounts, the CIA could simply bankrupt and replace foreign leadership from the dark. While cash could buy coups, it couldn't solve the CIA's biggest blind spot: verifying Soviet nuclear sites. Sending a human agent into the heart of the USSR was considered a suicide mission. The solution came from an alliance with Lockheed's Skunk Works division to build the U-2. This wasn't a standard aircraft. It was a powered glider designed to act as a piloted satellite. The U-2 cruised at 70,000 feet, far beyond the reach of Soviet fighters or missiles. From 13 miles up, its specialized cameras could photograph objects as small as 2 feet wide, capturing rolls of film that mapped the Soviet heartland without a single agent setting foot on the ground. The U-2 marked a permanent evolution for the CIA. The agency was no longer just a network of vulnerable agents. It was now a tech-heavy organization, reliant on untouchable American machines. As the Cold War expanded, the scale of these technological and covert operations grew. To fund global sabotage and proxy militias, the agency needed revenue streams far larger than what could be secretly squeezed out of official government accounts. In the 1980s, the agency turned to illicit global markets to bridge the gap. During the Iran-Contra affair, the CIA and key White House figures arranged to sell weapons to Iran at inflated prices. The profits were then quietly funneled through offshore accounts to bankroll the Contras, a rebel army in Nicaragua. To move these sums, they utilized BCCI, a global banking syndicate. BCCI's web of shell companies provided the infrastructure for laundering billions of dollars, cash generated from black market arms deals and cocaine trafficking, to keep operations running without a paper trail. By mastering the mechanics of shadow economics, the agency built a self-sustaining financial engine. They had achieved a level of operational independence that sidestepped traditional democratic oversight. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, leaving the CIA without its primary rival. That quiet period ended on September 11, 2001. The attacks introduced al-Qaeda, a borderless enemy hiding in the world's most hostile mountain terrains. Hunting decentralized terrorists in the mountains of Afghanistan required a new mechanical adaptation. The CIA developed a drone program, creating an eye in the sky that could spot a target and strike instantly. The MQ-9 Reaper took this further, allowing a pilot in Nevada to loiter over a compound for 24 hours and execute a kill with zero risk to American lives. The drone program automated the shadow war. On-the-ground assassinations were replaced by a remote grease mode process, turning complex human targets into data points actioned from half a world away. But a drone is only as good as its data. The 10-year hunt for Osama bin Laden proved that tracking a decentralized network required processing information at a scale beyond human capability. To solve this, the CIA made its final pivot, partnering with Silicon Valley. Through its venture capital arm, the agency invested early in Palantir, a software startup co-founded by Alex Karp, to weaponize big data and artificial intelligence. Palantir's software cross-references millions of data points in real time, identifying hidden connections to militant safehouses. This predictive mapping compressed intelligence timelines to hours. Analysts could see terrorist infrastructure forming and dismantle cells before an attack launched. Over 70 years, the CIA shifted its core reliance from the individual agent to the precision of the machine. While human intelligence remains a factor, the agency has built an all-seeing technological empire where the modern shadow war is increasingly fought with software, silicon, and global surveillance.